this episode, we speak to Jasveen Khanduja of Harlaksh, where he shares his entrepreneurial journey originating from Nagpur, India, in the health food space. We're looking at early stage nurturing of a venture, scrappy growth hacks including offline and online strategies, organic growth in a niche market, and what differentiates his venture in an extremely crowded market.
This episode is sponsored by Just Stickers, India's first premium quality vinyl custom stickers for startups, businesses, and laptop stickers for individuals.
Boo, live. Background story, Jasveen.
Yeah.
So you want to know how you ended up launching a health food brand?
Yes.
Right.
So,
I'm pretty curious because marketing background.
right.
A small city. You're not in you're not in Delhi. You're not in
Correct.
Bombay. You're not in a
Correct.
big one.
Right.
How did he end up? And I've never known you as a shredded fit guy.
Fitness junkie,
from
yeah.
from when when we
When we were young kids.
were playing online games.
Oh God.
How did this happen?
Yeah. So basically, when I came back to the city, I was studying in Scotland for a while, and did a little bit of research in health marketing in France when they shifted me there for an internship. When I came back, I thought I'd focus more on my health because it didn't seem to be on point. I was very off point and skinny fat. So I took a lot of advice from trainers.
All right.
You soon realize, you realize later in pain, around 6 to 7 months, that only eating egg whites and chana is not the solution for getting your physique on point and your fitness on point. So I needed to know that there was a method to the madness of this fitness game so that I could quantify it and understand it in terms of numbers and measurements. So with a little bit of research, we came across various nutritionists who actually had substance to talk, research papers on multiple protocols of dieting you could follow, which was sustainable and enjoyable.
So this was when you were in France, or
No,
once you had come back?
I
to
had
India?
a good idea on how to market products for health marketing when I was in France. But when I came back, I realized that this was my niche because I started to fall in love with the process of discipline that it provides, the kind of control you can get. And that's something you can't bullshit your way out of.
Right.
Fitness is something, if you've bullshitted yourself, it shows. You can't hide it. And I really like that kind of quantifiable structure. But ironically, the quantifiable structure is not given a method in itself, which
Right.
I would like to address.
So how did Healthlicious come about? So you're upset about all the research
So
out
I'm
there. It's confusing.
Yeah, and I am a little upset about the current misinformation spam that is present all over. So I found my own methodology through which I could make meals enjoyable. I made sure we had a community of people who started following me.
Right. So just for people who don't know, your venture in sort of your health food brand.
Right.
What did it start off with?
So the first customer was me, ironically, right? So how it started was key for me to find a way where I could make meals that I could enjoy while on a caloric deficit diet with my strategies in place, with the protocols and macros in check. So once I could see that there were adequate results there, I transferred these methodologies to a couple of friends, community members, people who are fitness enthusiasts to try out as well, to see if the method to the madness was really true. So turns out the results were absolutely astounding. Just by that fact alone, almost 50% of the people who tried the protocol just shifted directly towards me, and I already got pre-orders before I even started the brand. They said, listen, if you ever plan on doing anything in the fitness scene, just let us know because we are willing to commit whatever it takes to join that scene.
So these are your initial customers.
Yeah,
which also brings me to the next question.
Right.
Which is, how did you get your first customers?
So, like I said, the first customer, ironically, would be me because I was the one who had to. I'm very picky when it comes to food. I'm not a super fitness enthusiast or a super health food eating guy. I don't even like vegetables and fruits that much, to be very honest. The point is, you can find a way to match your lifestyle and your eating preferences with your diet to get the best of both worlds.
Right. But then how are you looking at other customers? So can you give us so you're your first customer, which is you're scratching your own itch.
Right.
That's the best way for you to start.
Yeah.
How do we get to multiple customers? And
so I think the best strategy is you build from the ground up with the customer preference.
So you're your first customer.
Right.
That's where all of us start off with. Most of us, at least.
Yeah.
You're scratching your own itch.
Correct.
how your next customers coming in? How did it grow organically?
So I focused on community building. I targeted people who were already in the segment, focused on their needs, and we made sure that we could customize the products as per their requirement, building it from their preference to the
But
ground
this
up.
was word of mouth, or was this you reaching out to them on digital?
It started with word of mouth,
Right.
with a few community members who we provided on a beta test methodology.
And that was you reaching out to these people on an individual level?
These were people we were interacting with in the community stage before we even launched. These
Right.
were who were around me when we were scratching my itch at that point, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they started participating. They started opting in for the option. I basically told them we're beta testing our product and our service. Would you like to opt in for it?
Right. So this is all happening, like let's say offline. It's happening.
Correct.
You haven't hit digital
Correct.
yet.
We haven't hit digital yet. We don't even have a brand name yet.
Right.
So we start to secure sales before we even start launching, to start seeing proof of concept from the beginning if possible, right?
Right.
And that's how we went.
And so
about
it's
it.
grown word of mouth from there.
So
primarily,
I would say almost 50% of our revenue grows from word of mouth. The
which
remainder-
also brings me to the next point, which
Yeah.
is hitting the growth phase.
Correct.
So you're saying 50% of it is word of mouth.
Yeah, 50%.
Where's the rest of the 50%?
So 50% goes from word of mouth. The remainder goes from you actively reaching out to people, decision-making people. You also want to go for digital marketing, where you start to invest in reasonable demographic analytics, where you understand your segment well,
Right.
and the kind of needs you need to be fulfilling.
Mhm.
So if someone is focusing on getting married, that's a very huge potential client, and a long-term one at that.
Right.
So you want to start seeing how the customer requires you, and then market your strategies according to that.
So that's what you did.
Correct.
Yeah. And you were reaching out to people via digital and organic.
Yeah.
So you were offline. Were you doing networking events? Were you doing what
so-
kind of outreach were you doing?
So on networking events, we occasionally hold on small stall options for certain exhibitions,
Right.
and market events. We'd also I would primarily participate in this business community segment called BNI,
Right.
where you get to meet around 50 to 70 business owners, decision makers, are people who are not only your potential customers, they're also your referrals, your sales team, and they are able to spread the word of mouth in the most powerful way possible to other businessmen.
Right. So you found value there on
Absolutely.
the offline.
So it was a little bit of a gamble, no doubt about it, but bootstrapping the business and everything. But I think it worked out pretty well, because I kind of understood the value it provided before I even got in it.
Right.
And the minute they told me you get to be in a room with around 60 business owners, I was pretty confident in what I do and what I provide and the value I provide. So I could see the value there as well.
And then how did digital happen? Yeah. What were you doing on digital?
Right. So digital, you need to start focusing on, number one, your segmentation. You need to understand it really well. And right. So I focused on my segments properly, the ones I targeted. I also focused on influencers who I found were prevalent and authentic. You want to weed. I felt I needed to weed out the influencers I felt were not creating conversions in comparisons to the ones that were. I'd keep a track on that.
So you did influencer marketing.
Correct.
You also did
Community-based marketing. I do
community-based
giveaways
marketing
as well.
You did giveaways
Yes,
as well.
I did.
And all this is via Instagram.
Yeah. So for food, I think Instagram seems to be the most effective channel for me.
Okay.
And it worked out quite well. You
Right.
can also keep promoting it on Facebook, but I see a little bit of lack of growth in Facebook for my business in particular.
All right.
Yeah.
So you primarily Instagram.
Right.
a
But
lot-
primarily Instagram would be highly recommended. for
influencers,
businesses,
community-based marketing.
Right.
You're also doing giveaways.
Right.
How important has food photography been for you
Food
overall?
photography has been exceptionally important, because you want to make the food look good before they even approach you, and it's health food, so people already have a predisposition towards how much they are not going to enjoy it. So we make sure that happens in a manner where we kept our costs down, since we were a bootstrapped lean startup. We just used our phone,
Right.
but we created decent backgrounds where we could at least make the food pop,
Right.
so that we could get the instant booming attention that you require in that first post.
Got
So
it.
that you could promote that in a manner which will help your segment grow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the next one.
Sure.
Pricing. right? A lot of us deal with this when it
Oh,
comes to
God.
growth.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've tried a bunch of methods on pricing. You probably went in with one price.
Right, right.
Yeah. So can you just give us your journey on pricing when it comes to products?
On the journey of pricing, I was pretty confident I would not want to go into the saturated market of low price segments, because
Right.
these are people who are not really interested in objective based dieting. They're interested in the most bang for the buck, which I respect, but it doesn't get the job done.
Right.
So you can't really compromise on the price and the cost when it comes to higher quality nutrient dense food, because it just costs more. It's not going to be easy. That's the protocol we've seen all over the world right now.
And how was the reaction from the market when you went in with your first line of pricing? Did they accept it? Did they, find that it was slightly higher?
So when we started it, fortunately, we were the first mover in the city. So I was able to get most of the high-end crowd of my city.
Right.
I started facing resistance when I would start to go into the lower, slightly lower on the hierarchy segments of the business model segments. And
when you're saying in terms of lower cost products or lower cost demographic?
Lower cost demographic.
Right.
People who are on tighter budgets,
right,
who have priorities based apart from health at that stage of their life.
Right.
So what we try to do for them is we try to provide them with a trial basis. We generally recommend them a 10-day package or something of the sort, so that they can see the result. And then we make them commit for a longer period of time to try to add discounts. So we'd say, okay, if you can't afford it at this point, how about we tie up with you for around 6 to 7 months, and we'll give you at a lower cost so that you can see a result. These are people who have actually desperate needs to get on a fitness scale as well.
They want results quickly.
Quickly, yeah.
Did you also play around with your payment models?
Right. So we try to go about banking and cash to begin with. We also try to use Paytm, but
no. So my question is on. So did you also explore different payment models, which is fixed fee subscriptions?
Right.
Yes.
So our primary mode was subscriptions. We were focused on that because we required people to get results for us to grow. It's a part of our marketing strategy. So we made sure that we provided a priority on subscription.
That's smart.
Yeah, we kept it in that manner, and fortunately it was again the first of its kind in the city, so it was met with a little resistance, I'll be honest.
So they're paying you upfront?
Yeah, they pay me upfront for a fixed period of time.
Right.
We provide them the meal services in that manner, so that there is a structure to which they can also manage their fitness and objectives while we manage our resources accordingly.
And it helps you sort of bring in the revenue early.
Yeah, it brings the revenue early,
so you plan better.
Yeah, so I can prioritize on menu creation, variations, and quality and calculations, instead of focusing on do I collect the revenue every single time and accounting, which is
good.
I find it counterproductive.
Nice. Yeah. And I'm looking at exciting parts in the future. How are you looking to grow the business?
Right. So,
what are the growth channels that you're looking at?
Well, we've started working with a very innovative and dynamic in a company called Superflow, and I find it to be quite potent.
Right.
I also feel that we have a lifestyle creation option available for our future in the scope of our business. I honestly see a huge scope in ancillary services based on fitness subscriptions and gym subscriptions, which can be done through an online catering portal, which we're trying to develop now. And we're also trying to work on different desserts and different kind of, how do I say this? Service. I mean, I think I've covered services mostly, so I'll say desserts.
And where do you see the growth coming from? So what you mentioned is product, right? Different product innovations. Where do you see growth coming from? Do you see digital being a big part of what you're doing?
I strongly believe that will be the only methodology we can apply to reach critical mass in our business model. Apart from the food, which is great, it provides the authenticity that an individual requires to see the proof in the pudding, so to speak. We also need ancillary services like gym subscription provisions, dietitian charts provisions, keto cake desserts, and other specialty desserts and beverages, so that you can keep adding more variations into the structure.
Growth channels.
Right. We've started to explore more territories of digital media, whereby we can see growing forms of media communication really taking a huge spurt in growth. Things like TikTok and things like podcasts and video calls seem to be the next frontier for marketing, so that you can start going there first and getting the highest ROI on your effort. And that is what I feel will be the growth channel for our business. We also strongly rely on result-oriented businesses, where people can see the results and the word of mouth occurs on its own after that. You don't need to make them refer you. They will be asked how did they manage to do what they do, which creates a very strong, coherent, authentic referral.
Correct.
So before they even come on the table, they already know what you do and they trust you.
Right.
So half the battle's already won when it comes to marketing there.
And have you been doing any ads? Have you experimented with them?
So we do a little bit of advertising on Instagram primarily. I tried it on Facebook. I didn't really get a great numbers-based response there. I got a really good response through Instagram. I think I can also get a reasonable amount of response through YouTube, through video content creation. I also believe adding a separate strategy for advertising through using AdWords would help.
Right.
But unless I get a coherent strategy there, I'll comment about AdWords later on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, what are the challenges that you faced with growth as a health
God.
food brand?
Too many.
Too many.
Too many. Yeah.
Give us a few examples.
So it's like every startup which is going to be the first of its kind. You're going to feel quite left out in the beginning because you're doing something no one else is focused on. So you need to be comfortable being that before you start moving forward. Then you need to start focusing on staff turnover, because that's one of the biggest challenges you're going to face in the food industry, that the staff is just going to turn over. There's no way around it.
Right.
You need reliable people who you can trust and work around with.
So you feel that basically having difficulty with staff has also hampered your growth in certain situations?
I mean, I would say the adversity kind of taught us how to be even leaner and more aggressive in how we create our hires.
Right.
So what it did for me was it pushed me to develop strategies which made my business less reliant on extreme staff.
Got it.
So I could use basic staff to get most of my job done, even if there is a worst case scenario in place.
This is interesting. And, what are your geographical expansion plans? What are you looking at going forward?
Yeah. So we scouted Pune, Delhi, and Mumbai, and what we zeroed in on Mumbai, and we're trying to lay out the groundwork and the base work for developing the business and growing the business further. We've got a couple of clients who are beta testing the teething issues around and to see how we can work around the feasibility of the project. And it's exciting stuff, man. We're hopefully going to start and see how it works out in Mumbai, most probably.
All right. Sounds good. And what would you say would be, let's say, actually a different question. I would say, would you change anything? How would you grow this venture again if you were to do it?
Actually, I wouldn't change a thing about how I grow the venture, because the beauty of the journey is that you understand a lot of issues and you face a lot of adversity, and adversity is what makes you better. It's what will make you what you are in the form of where you want to be. And that can only happen once you face these issues. So if I say I don't want to make any mistakes or I don't want to face any obstacle, that just means I'm not more exposed or empathetic towards different issues and how to approach them in a better manner. So that's how I look at it.
All right, sounds good. We'll wrap this up, man. This is good. And just like one last takeaway for people who are listening to the podcast. What's your takeaway for them?
Never underestimate self-improvement. Never underestimate any form of investment you do for yourself, whether it's a self-improvement class, whether it's fitness, whether it's better education, better mental health, better focus on whatever skill sets you want to develop apart from what you think society wants. Make sure you are the best version of you and you keep improving every single day.
Boom. All right. Thank you so much, Jasveen. Cheers.